Heyo! Okay, I haven't made a video in a really long time. Okay, well, it's been like a week. So, not that long, but still. Have you missed me? This one is a review about a book that I've been reading lately called Aimless Love, New and Selected Poems by Billy Collins. I got into this book because I was looking up poetry on YouTube because I really like spoken poetry, like spoken word poetry, and I came across a poetry reading of one of Billy Collins' poems that is now it's the new poem that's in this book, and I really loved it. It was like a really funny poem. It was about his 16-year-old daughter, I think. I found the book, and I looked through it, and I was like, you know what? I need this book. So, I bought it. I haven't read all of it yet because poetry, you kind of have to like be in the mood, I guess, to read poetry, at least for me. I feel like when you read poetry, you want to take time to really read the poem and digest what it's saying. I have a lot of poems in here that I absolutely adore, and I'll read one to you. It's called Litany. You are the bread and the knife, the crystal goblet and the wine. You are dew on the morning grass and the burning wheel of the sun. You are the white apron of the baker and the marsh bird suddenly in flight. However, you are not the wind in the orchard, the plums on the counter, or the house of cards, and you are certainly not the pine-scented air. There is no way you are the pine-scented air. It is possible that you are the fish under the bridge, maybe even the pigeon on the general's head, but you are not even close to being the field of cornflowers at dusk. And a quick look in the mirror will show that you are neither the boots in the corner, nor the boat asleep in its boathouse. It might interest you to know, speaking of the plentiful imagery of the world, that I am the sound of rain on the roof. I also happen to be the shooting star, the evening paper blowing down an alley, and the basket of chestnuts on the kitchen table. I am also the moon in the trees and the blind woman's teacup. But don't worry, I am not the bread and the knife. You are still the bread and the knife. You will always be the bread and the knife. Not to mention the crystal goblet, and, somehow, the wine. I like that because it draws on metaphors, and often in books and poetry and lots of literature you'll read a metaphor. He is a mushroom or something like that, and it doesn't really make any sense. You're like, how is he? I mean, when you digest it and you're like in the zone, you're like, oh, that's so smart, it makes so much sense, I get it, the mushroom, oh, of course he's the mushroom. But this poem kind of makes fun of all that, and I like that. How it's like, you are the bread and the knife, and the crystal goblet and the wine. You are not the fish under the what does it say? You are not the cornflowers at dusk. I thought that was funny. Like it just kind of pokes fun at those kinds of metaphors and in the litany. There are some really great poems, some beautiful poems in here, and ever since I started reading it, I've just been like a poetry mode, where all I want to do is listen to poetry and read poetry and write poetry. Speaking of which, writing poetry, my roommate is really good at writing poetry. I'll link her blog below. You should check it out. She has some of the most amazing poems I've ever seen. Like, they're really great, and I love them. Oh, side note. I think it's important to be aware and open to lots of different literature experiences. So you can't just go on reading young adult fiction the rest of your life, because let's be real, that would get so boring. You need novels and historical fiction and nonfiction and history books and poetry. Like, you can't just read the same genre forever. It's important to expand on your horizons and to not be in your little cocoon of books. Don't be in a cocoon of books. Be open and aware to all of the books that are out there. You can be reading so many books. I would live in a bookstore if I could. In fact, I will. I will live in a bookstore. I will make my house a bookstore. It'll be nothing but bookshelves with books. My whole house. All the walls will be bookshelves with books. And I will be kept warm by the heat and love from all of my books. Because they love me and I love them. Next week maybe, but next week is Christmas, so probably not. So, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Hanukkah.